Have you ever tried to sleep at night, but the weight of a memory kept you awake? Have you ever smiled in public while secretly drowning in the pain someone else caused you? Let me ask you, how long will you let the ghosts of your past control your future? Forgiveness is not easy, it is not weak, and it is definitely not forgetting. It takes strength to release what broke you. It takes courage to let go of what you can't forget. But here's the truth. The person who hurt you may not deserve your forgiveness, but you deserve your peace. When you hold on to pain, you chain yourself to the very thing that broke you. You carry that weight into every conversation, every relationship, and every opportunity. And the worst part, the person who hurt you isn't suffering. You are. You're the one replaying the betrayal. You're the one reopening the wound. But forgiveness is how you break free. Let me make one thing clear. Forgiving doesn't mean you excuse the pain. It doesn't mean you pretend it didn't happen. Forgiving means you refuse to let the pain define you any longer. It means you take your power back. And power is what you deserve. Think about it. Why should the person who broke you hold the pen that writes the rest of your story? Why should their actions have the final say? Forgiveness is not about them. It's about you reclaiming your life. And I know it's not easy. I know some wounds cut too deep. But here's the thing. Every day you hold on to bitterness. You let the pain win. And you were made for more than that. So, where do you start? You start by making a choice, a decision that your future is more important than your past. You choose to release the pain, not because it was okay, but because you are choosing to be okay. And listen closely. Forgiveness is a process. You might have to wake up and choose it every single day until the weight gets lighter. But every time you forgive, you break the chains a little more. And eventually, those chains shatter. So I ask you again, how long will you let the ghosts of your past control your future? The time to let go is now. Because the person you become on the other side of forgiveness, that person is stronger. That person is free. And that person is you. Forgive what you can't forget. Not because they deserve it, but because you do. Forgiveness is a choice, not a feeling. You may never feel ready to forgive. The pain lingers, the memories haunt you, and every time you try to move forward, the weight of what happened pulls you back. It's easy to believe that time alone will heal the wounds, but time only makes you better at hiding them. The truth is, forgiveness is not about waiting for a feeling. It's about making a decision, a hard, deliberate choice to release the burden of resentment and free yourself from the prison of bitterness. When someone hurts you deeply, the natural instinct is to hold on to the pain. You replay the betrayal in your mind, wondering how they could do this to you. You search for answers that never come and justice that feels out of reach. But the more you cling to the anger, the more it consumes you. Every thought becomes a reminder of the offense. Every day becomes a battle between wanting to let go and feeling like you can't. You tell yourself that forgiveness means excusing what they did, that it makes you weak, that it lets them win. But here's the truth. Unforgiveness is the real prison. It chains you to the very pain you want to escape, and the person who hurt you, they move on, while you stay stuck. Forgiveness isn't about them. It's about you. It's about refusing to allow the actions of another person to control your peace. Because as long as you hold on to the resentment, they still have power over you. They may no longer be in your life, but their actions still dictate your emotions, your decisions, your future. Every time you hold on to that pain, you're giving them a piece of your freedom. You deserve better than that. You deserve to be free. You might be thinking, but how do I forgive when I still feel so much pain? Forgiveness is not denial. It doesn't minimize the hurt. It doesn't erase the injustice. It doesn't mean you forget what happened or let someone continue to harm you. Forgiveness is a conscious decision to release the bitterness that is poisoning your heart. It is the courageous act of saying, I will not let what you did define who I become. No one can force you to forgive. It's a choice only you can make. But if you wait for the feelings to come first, you may be waiting forever. Feelings follow decisions. When you choose forgiveness, you create space for your heart to heal. It doesn't mean the pain disappears overnight, but every time you choose to let go, the grip of bitterness weakens. You take back your power. You reclaim your joy. Holding on to unforgiveness is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to suffer. You're the one who feels the weight of it every day, the sleepless nights, the anger bubbling beneath the surface, the exhaustion of carrying a grudge that drains your energy and steals your peace. But when you choose to forgive, you release yourself from that burden. You breathe again, you live again. Forgiveness is not for the faint of heart. It takes strength to release resentment when you have every right to hold on. It takes courage to rise above the hurt when you feel broken. But here's the reality. There is no freedom without forgiveness. You cannot move forward while clinging to the past. You cannot build a new future while shackled to old wounds. When you choose forgiveness, you're not saying that what happened was okay. You're saying that your peace matters more. You're saying that your life is too precious to waste another moment in the shadow of someone else's actions. You're choosing to be free, free from the bitterness, free from the anger, free from the pain. Forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation. There are people you may need to forgive, but never allow back into your life. Forgiveness is not about restoring broken relationships. It's about restoring your heart. It's about protecting your peace. It's about giving yourself the gift of freedom, whether the other person deserves it or not. And let's be honest. Sometimes the hardest person to forgive is yourself. You replay your mistakes. You punish yourself for the wrong decisions. You carry guilt that was never meant to be yours. But if you can forgive others, why not extend that same grace to yourself? You cannot change the past, but you can choose to release the shame and step into a future filled with hope. You might wonder, what if I'm not ready? But the truth is, you may never feel ready. Forgiveness isn't about readiness, it's about willingness. It's about making the choice, even when it feels impossible. It's about trusting that the decision to let go will create the space for healing to begin. There is power in your decision. The pain may be real, but so is your ability to rise above it. The offense may have wounded you, but it doesn't have to define you. You have the strength to break free from the chains of bitterness. You have the courage to choose forgiveness, not because it's easy, but because you refuse to let the past hold your future hostage. Forgiveness is not a feeling, it's a decision. And when you make that decision, you reclaim your life. You take back your joy. You walk in freedom. Because the truth is, when you choose to forgive, you're not releasing them. You're releasing yourself. Forgiveness doesn't excuse the hurt. Let's be clear. What happened to you was not okay. The betrayal, the lies, the broken promises, the pain that cut deeper than words can describe. No one deserves to be hurt the way you were. And forgiveness doesn't rewrite history. It doesn't erase the wounds or justify the injustice. You don't forgive because the pain didn't matter. You forgive because you matter. You forgive because your future is too valuable to let the weight of your past hold you hostage. It's easy to confuse forgiveness with approval, to believe that letting go somehow means what they did was acceptable. But nothing could be further from the truth. Forgiveness does not minimize the damage, nor does it dismiss the impact. What happened was real. It hurt. And the consequences of that pain ripple through your life in ways others may never fully understand. Forgiveness is not about pretending the wound doesn't exist. It's about refusing to let the wound define you. When you hold on to unforgiveness, you give the person who hurt you continued power over your mind and heart. Every time you replay the offense in your mind, you relive the pain. Every time you nurture the bitterness, it grows roots deep into your soul. And here's the harsh truth. While you're holding on to the hurt, they might not even be thinking about it. They may never apologize. They may never acknowledge the damage they cause, and yet you carry the weight of their actions as if punishing yourself somehow brings justice. But it doesn't. Unforgiveness doesn't punish the other person, it punishes you. It drains your energy, it steals your joy. It traps you in a cycle of pain that leaves no room for peace. Some wounds cut so deep that it feels impossible to let them go. You might think, if I forgive, it means what they did doesn't matter. But the opposite is true. Forgiveness acknowledges the pain. It says, I refuse to let this pain control me any longer. It's not about excusing the harm, it's about reclaiming your life. Because every time you choose not to forgive, you tether yourself to the very thing you want to escape. And the longer you hold on, the heavier it becomes. You may be waiting for an apology that never comes. You may long for an explanation that remains out of reach. But here's the truth. You don't need their permission to heal. You don't need them to make it right before you choose to release the weight. Forgiveness is not about the other person. It's about you. It's about refusing to let someone else's actions rob you of your future. Some people will never take responsibility for the hurt they caused. They will walk away while you're left to pick up the pieces. But you don't have to wait for them to do the right thing to begin your healing. You have the power to release the bitterness, not because they deserve it, but because you deserve to be free. You deserve to live a life that is not defined by the worst thing that happened to you. Forgiving doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean allowing the same people to continue hurting you. You can forgive and still protect yourself. You can release the resentment and still set boundaries. Forgiveness is not about letting someone back into your life. It's about letting yourself move forward without carrying the weight of what they did. Because holding on to the pain will never make it right. It will only make you tired. It will only make you bitter. It will only hold you back from the life you were meant to live. It's easy to believe that unforgiveness is power, that by holding on, you're somehow making a statement. But the truth is, unforgiveness weakens you. It keeps your mind stuck in the past while your heart longs for a future you can't seem to reach. And the longer you hold on, the more it poisons everything around you. Your relationships suffer. Your peace disappears. Your ability to trust again becomes clouded by the pain you refuse to release. You might say, but they don't deserve my forgiveness. And you're right. Maybe they don't. But forgiveness isn't about them being worthy. It's about you being free. It's about choosing to release the grip of bitterness so you can reclaim your peace. It's about refusing to let the one who hurt you have one more moment of your joy. And here's something no one tells you. Sometimes the hardest person to forgive is yourself. You carry guilt for things you cannot change. You punish yourself for choices you made when you didn't know better. But if you can extend grace to others, why not offer that same grace to yourself? You cannot rewrite the past, but you can choose not to let it ruin your future. Letting go doesn't mean what happened was okay. It means you're no longer willing to let it control you. It means you're choosing to break free from the chains of bitterness and walk into a future where you are no longer defined by the pain. You can carry the lesson without carrying the anger. You can remember what happened without allowing it to shape who you become. And make no mistake, choosing to forgive is not weakness. It's strength. It takes courage to release resentment when you have every right to hold on. It takes power to say, I will not let what you did break me. The easy path is to stay angry. The hard path, the healing path, is to forgive anyway. To rise above the hurt, to refuse to let someone else's actions control your destiny. Forgiveness is not a one-time event. Some days you'll feel free, and other days the pain will try to creep back in. But every time you choose to let go, you reclaim a little more of your heart. Every time you release the bitterness, you step closer to the life you were meant to live. And make no mistake, your future is too important to let unforgiveness hold you back. You can't change what happened, but you can change how much power it has over you. You can't force someone to apologize, but you can choose to release yourself from the need for one. You can't rewrite the past, but you can refuse to let it rob you of your future. Because when you choose forgiveness, you're not letting them win. You're taking back your power. You're choosing to live fully, love deeply, and walk in freedom. And the truth is, no one else deserves to control your heart, your mind, or your life. That choice belongs to you and you alone. Unforgiveness chains you to the past. Unforgiveness is a prison you lock yourself in, believing you are punishing the person who hurt you, but in reality, you are only punishing yourself. The weight of what happened drags behind you, slowing you down, clouding your thoughts, and draining your energy. Every time you hold on to bitterness, you bind yourself tighter to the pain. It becomes a cycle, reliving the offense, replaying the conversations, and imagining different outcomes. But no matter how many times you revisit it, nothing changes. The past cannot be rewritten, and yet unforgiveness tricks you into thinking that holding on will somehow make it right, but the truth is, it only makes you stuck. When you refuse to forgive, you tether yourself to the very thing you want to escape. The hurt becomes a lens through which you see the world. It affects how you trust, how you love, how you engage with life. You may not even realize how much it controls you, but it's there. In your relationships, your decisions, your thoughts. Bitterness doesn't stay neatly tucked away. It seeps into everything. It poisons your joy. It clouds your vision. It becomes the silent voice in your head reminding you of every wrong done to you. And the longer you hold on to it, the stronger the chains become. Unforgiveness is deceptive. It feels like power, like you are in control because you refuse to release the pain. But in reality, it's the opposite. You become a prisoner of the very thing you despise. You can't move forward because you are constantly looking back. The person who hurt you may be living their life unbothered and unchanged, while you carry the burden of their actions. And the saddest truth is this: they may never apologize. They may never acknowledge the pain they caused. But that does not mean you have to stay bound to it. You might think letting go means excusing what happened or pretending it didn't matter. But forgiveness is not about dismissing the pain. It's about choosing your freedom over your bitterness. It is refusing to allow someone else's actions to define the rest of your life. When you hold on to unforgiveness, you hand over your power. You give that person control over your emotions, your peace, your future. And they may not even know or care, but every time you relive the offense, you reinforce the chains. Every time you nurse the wound, you deepen the scar. The truth is, unforgiveness holds you hostage, but forgiveness sets you free. It is the key that unlocks the prison door. It doesn't mean forgetting, and it doesn't mean inviting the person back into your life. It means releasing the emotional grip the past has on you. It means choosing to no longer carry the bitterness that weighs you down. Forgiveness is a decision, a hard, intentional decision to let go, for your sake, not theirs. Because the alternative is a life shackled to pain. You cannot fully live in the present while you are chained to the past. The more you cling to the resentment, the harder it becomes to experience real peace. Unforgiveness breeds anger, mistrust, and a hardened heart. It doesn't just affect the person who wronged you, it impacts every part of your life. It limits your ability to love. It steals your capacity to experience joy. It keeps you locked in a version of yourself that is defined by what happened, instead of who you are capable of becoming. Some wounds are deep. Some betrayals cut so profoundly that the idea of forgiving feels impossible. But the question is, how long will you let that pain hold you captive? How many more moments will you give away to the person who hurt you? How much longer will you allow their actions to shape your future? Every day you choose not to forgive is another day you stay bound to a pain that no longer serves you. And the only way out is to release it, not because they deserve it, but because you do. Forgiving is not about being weak. It is an act of profound strength. It takes courage to let go when you have every right to hold on. It takes boldness to choose healing over anger, but if you don't, the bitterness will harden you. It will block the blessings meant for you. You cannot receive new joy while clenching the pain of the past. You cannot step into the fullness of your potential while dragging the weight of resentment behind you. Unforgiveness doesn't just stay in one part of your life. It spreads. It affects your health, your relationships, your peace of mind. It becomes a barrier between you and the life you are meant to live. You may think you are protecting yourself by holding on, but in reality, you're only reinforcing the chains. The longer you wait, the heavier they become. The truth is, no amount of bitterness will ever make the pain right. No amount of resentment will undo what happened, but forgiveness can break the cycle. It can open the door to a life no longer defined by what hurt you. Choosing to forgive doesn't mean the pain disappears overnight. It doesn't mean the scars fade instantly. But every time you release the bitterness, the chains loosen. Every time you choose freedom over resentment, you reclaim a piece of your heart. And the more you do it, the lighter you become. Forgiveness is not a one-time decision. It's a daily choice to no longer allow the past to control you. There is no freedom without forgiveness. You can try to bury the pain, you can carry the anger for years, but eventually it catches up with you. It shapes how you see yourself and how you see the world. And if you're not careful, you become a prisoner of your own bitterness. But you don't have to stay there. You have the power to break free. You have the ability to release the pain, not because it was okay, but because your life is too valuable to waste another moment in chains. The question is, how long will you let the past control your future? How much more of your joy are you willing to give away? Because every time you hold on to unforgiveness, you are choosing to stay bound. And the only way to break free is to let go. Not because it's easy, but because you deserve to live a life unchained. You deserve to experience peace. You deserve to move forward without the shadow of past pain following you. Unforgiveness will keep you stuck in a story you no longer want to live. It will rob you of the beauty that still exists, but forgiveness, no matter how hard, opens the door to a future no longer bound by what happened. It is the only way to reclaim your life. It is the only way to walk freely into the future you deserve. And no one else can make that decision for you. The choice to break free is yours. Forgiveness is about healing yourself. Forgiveness is not about them, it's about you. It's about reclaiming your peace, your joy, your freedom. When someone hurts you, the pain can linger long after the event is over. It embeds itself in your heart, shaping how you see the world, how you trust others, and how you view yourself. And the longer you hold on to that pain, the more it drains you. It seeps into every corner of your life, poisoning your thoughts and weighing down your spirit. You may believe that holding on to resentment protects you, that it keeps you strong. But in reality, it keeps you stuck. Forgiveness is not weakness. It is a powerful act of healing. It is choosing to free yourself from the burden of carrying someone else's actions. You're not forgiving because they deserve it. In fact, they may never deserve it. They may never apologize. They may never acknowledge the hurt they caused. But if you wait for them to make it right, you may stay trapped in the pain forever. Forgiveness is not about what they did. It's about refusing to let what they did control you any longer. It is about deciding that your emotional freedom is more valuable than holding on to bitterness. The truth is, forgiveness is a gift you give yourself. When you hold on to anger, it doesn't just stay contained, it grows. It becomes a filter through which you experience everything. It clouds your vision. It affects your relationships. It keeps you reliving the pain long after the moment has passed. Every time you revisit the hurt, you give it more power over your life. And while you're carrying the weight of that pain, the person who caused it may be completely unaffected. They may have moved on while you remain bound by what happened. The longer you hold on, the deeper the wound becomes. But forgiveness has the power to release you from that cycle and restore your peace. Forgiveness does not mean forgetting. It doesn't mean what happened was okay. It doesn't mean you have to trust the person again or let them back into your life. It means you are choosing to no longer let their actions have control over your emotional well-being. It means you are prioritizing your healing over your hurt. When you choose to forgive, you are reclaiming the parts of yourself that pain tried to destroy. You are taking back your ability to live fully and freely. The truth is, unforgiveness binds you to the very person who hurt you. It keeps you emotionally tethered to them, even when you want nothing more than to be free. It locks you in a prison where the key is always within your reach, but you hesitate to use it. Forgiveness is that key. It unlocks the chains and allows you to step into a future no longer defined by your past. It is a decision to stop allowing someone else's choices to shape your life. You may think that holding on to resentment gives you power, but it only gives more power to the person who hurts you. It keeps you emotionally invested in something that no longer serves you. It robs you of your peace, your joy, and your capacity to love fully. And the longer you carry that bitterness, the heavier it becomes. Eventually, it weighs you down in ways you don't even realize. It makes you guarded. It makes you anxious. It makes you mistrust even those who have never hurt you, but forgiveness lifts that burden. It lightens your heart. It makes room for healing to begin. Healing cannot happen while you hold on to bitterness. You cannot move forward while clinging to the past. Forgiveness is the bridge that leads you to freedom. It allows you to release the pain and step into a new chapter of your life. And the most powerful truth is this: you don't need their permission to heal. You don't need their apology to let go. You can choose forgiveness, not because they are worthy, but because you are worthy of peace. You deserve a life that is not defined by what hurt you. You deserve to experience joy that is not overshadowed by resentment. Some wounds cut so deeply that forgiveness feels impossible. The betrayal, the lies, the broken trust. It can feel like letting go is too much to ask. But the question is, how long will you let their actions have power over you? How long will you let what happened shape your present and your future? Every day you hold on to unforgiveness is another day you give that person control over your emotions. But you have the power to take it back. You have the power to release yourself from the pain. Forgiveness is not a one-time event. It is a process. Some days you will feel free, and other days the pain will try to creep back in. But every time you choose to release the bitterness, you take a step closer to healing. Every time you refuse to let the past define you, you reclaim a piece of your heart. It won't happen overnight, but with every act of forgiveness, you create space for peace to grow. And here's the truth: holding on to anger will never heal you. It will never make the pain right. It will never erase what happened. But forgiveness opens the door to healing. It allows you to process the hurt without becoming consumed by it. It gives you the freedom to live without the shadow of past wounds hanging over you. And that freedom is worth fighting for. You may feel like forgiving means letting them off the hook, but the reality is forgiveness lets you off the hook. It frees you from the emotional prison you've been living in. It allows you to take back your power and live a life unburdened by bitterness. The person who hurt you does not get to decide whether you heal, you do. And that healing begins the moment you choose to let go. Forgiveness is not about denying the pain. It is not about pretending the hurt didn't happen. It is about choosing to no longer let that pain define your life. It is an act of self-love, a declaration that you deserve better than living in the shadow of what someone else did. You may not be able to change the past, but you can choose to no longer be held captive by it. When you forgive, you are not saying that what happened was okay. You are saying that you refuse to carry the pain any longer. You are choosing to prioritize your emotional freedom over your anger. And in doing so, you reclaim your ability to live fully. The burden of unforgiveness is too heavy to carry. It will steal your joy, drain your energy, and hold you back from the life you are meant to live. But you have the power to release it. You have the power to break free. Forgiveness is not about making them feel better. It's about making yourself whole again. It is a courageous act of self-liberation, a declaration that your peace matters more than your pain. It is a choice to live with an open heart, to release the grip of bitterness, and to step fully into a future where you are no longer bound by what broke you. Your healing is not in their hands. It never was. The power to forgive, to let go, to reclaim your peace, it has always been yours. And the moment you choose forgiveness, you set yourself free to heal, to grow, and to live fully once again. Healing takes time. Be patient with yourself. Forgiveness is not a single moment. It is a journey, a process that unfolds step by step, day by day, as you navigate the depths of pain and move toward freedom. Healing does not happen overnight, and the weight of what you carry cannot be released in an instant. It takes time. It takes patience. It takes a willingness to face the hurt without letting it consume you. Too often people believe that forgiving should be quick and easy, that once you decide to let go, everything will instantly feel better. But the truth is, forgiveness is rarely that simple. It is a battle within yourself, a constant choice to release the bitterness, even when every part of you wants to hold on. When you are wounded, the pain can feel overwhelming. It shapes how you see yourself, how you trust others, and how you engage with the world. You cannot rush the process of healing, no matter how much you want to. There will be days when you feel lighter, when the anger no longer feels as heavy, but there will also be days when the pain resurfaces unexpectedly. That is the reality of the healing journey. It is not a straight path, but a winding road filled with highs and lows. And in those difficult moments, it is crucial to be patient with yourself. You are not weak for still feeling the pain. You are not failing because it still hurts. Healing is not about pretending you are okay. It is about giving yourself permission to feel without judgment. There will be times when you question whether you can truly let go, when the memory of what happened feels as raw as the day it occurred. That does not mean you are broken. It means you are human. Healing requires grace. Grace for the days when you make progress, and grace for the days when it feels like you are taking steps backward. Forgiveness is not forgetting. It does not erase the damage that was done. The scars remain, and some wounds take longer to heal than others. But every time you choose to forgive, even when it hurts, you are reclaiming a piece of yourself that the pain tried to steal. It is not about excusing the harm or minimizing the hurt. It is about choosing freedom over bondage. It is about deciding that your peace is worth more than staying trapped in the cycle of resentment. And that kind of freedom cannot be rushed. You may wonder why it still hurts after all this time, why certain memories still have the power to stir your heart and bring tears to your eyes. The truth is, pain does not operate on a timeline. There is no set date when you will finally feel over it. But every day that you commit to the process of healing is a step closer to wholeness. The key is to keep going, to refuse to let the pain define the rest of your life. And along the way, you must extend compassion to yourself. You would not expect a physical wound to heal instantly. Why would you demand that of your heart? Just as the body needs time to repair itself, your soul needs time to recover from emotional wounds. Rushing the process only prolongs the pain. True healing comes when you allow yourself to sit with the discomfort, to feel the depth of your hurt without judgment, and to slowly release it piece by piece. It is not about perfection, it is about progress. And that progress takes time. Some days you will feel strong, other days the pain will feel too heavy to carry. That is normal. There is no shame in your struggle. The journey of forgiveness is not a straight line. It is a series of small, deliberate choices to keep moving forward, even when it feels impossible. You will have moments when anger tries to creep back in, when the bitterness feels safer than letting go. But every time you choose grace over resentment, you are healing. Every time you choose to release the pain, even when it is hard, you are reclaiming your power. Healing is not about pretending the pain never existed. It is about allowing yourself to feel it fully, process it deeply, and release it gradually. You do not need to have all the answers. You do not need to be perfect. You simply need to be patient with yourself as you walk through the process. There is no right or wrong way to heal. There is only your way. And that way will take time. Forgiveness does not mean you will never feel the pain again. It does not mean you are immune to the memories or the hurt. But it does mean that those things no longer have control over you. With each passing day, their grip weakens. You reclaim your joy, your peace, and your emotional freedom. But you must give yourself the space to get there. Rushing the process only deepens the wounds. True healing requires patience and self-compassion. You may be tempted to judge yourself for how long it takes. You may think you should be over it by now, but healing has no deadline. There is no timetable for forgiveness. Your heart will heal in its own way, in its own time, and while the process may feel slow, every step forward matters. You are doing the hard work of breaking free, even when it feels like nothing is changing. Every time you choose to release the bitterness, you loosen its hold on your life. Healing is messy. Some days it will feel like you are moving backward, but even on those days, you are still healing. Be kind to yourself as you walk through the process. Celebrate the small victories, the moments when you feel lighter, the days when the pain no longer consumes you. Healing does not happen all at once, but it does happen with time, with patience, with grace. The wounds become less raw, the memories lose their power, and you begin to feel free again. You deserve that freedom. You deserve to live a life unburdened by the pain of the past, but it starts with patience. with allowing yourself to be exactly where you are without shame, with giving yourself permission to feel, to grieve, and to heal at your own pace. Forgiveness is not about rushing to the finish line. It is about honoring the process even when it feels slow. Every time you choose patience, you are choosing healing. Every time you refuse to judge yourself for how long it takes, you are showing yourself the love you deserve. The pain will not last forever. The hurt will not define you forever. But for now, let yourself heal fully, deeply, because you are worth it. And with every moment of grace you give yourself, you move one step closer to freedom. Forgiveness is a journey, one that requires patience, grace, and a commitment to your own healing. It is not about excusing the pain or forgetting what happened. It is about freeing yourself from the weight of resentment. You are not forgiving for them. You are forgiving for you, to reclaim your peace and emotional freedom. Healing takes time, and every step forward, no matter how small, matters. Be patient with yourself, trust the process, and remember that forgiveness is the key to living fully, unburdened by the past. You deserve a life of peace, freedom, and emotional wholeness.